everyone, welcome back to another video. In today's video I'm going to show you how to do stamping. I've already got a couple of videos on it, but I just thought, you know what, I see stamping being asked about all over the place by people that don't already do it or people that do and they struggle and things like that, so I just thought it'd be a good one to start off with to get back into my nail art videos. So this is the, I'm really sorry about the reflection, but this is the plate that I'm going to be using. Let's just move the light a second. There we go. This is the plate I'm going to be using. It's Nicole Diary L17. It's such a nice plate. I really like it. So I'm going to use this to create some designs on some nails I've already pre-painted. So I'm just going to go through what I'm using first. I'm going to be using Clear Jelly Stamper stamping polish. I really like these stamping polishes. They are quite small, which means they do seem quite expensive, but they are very, very pigmented. And with stamping, it's more about having a lot of colours instead of a lot of the actual polish, because you're not really, apart from black and white, going to use the same one over and over. So then I'm going to be using my Clear Jelly Stamper. This is, I think it's called the Big Bling Stamper. I'm going to be using this. It's completely see-through. It's quite large, and that's why I'm using this one, just so you can see it clearly. And then obviously you can see through clearly because there's nothing here to block our view. So I have pre-painted some nails. Obviously I'm going to do one at a time, but I have used Magpie Beauty's Leap of Faith. I don't know why that was so difficult for me to say. As my base for this set, and then obviously, as you saw, I'm going to be using these. The dark purple is 16 and the lilac is 17. I'm going to be using a mixture of those for this set. And then I've also used Blue Skies 63905 for this lovely silver nail, and also I've done a nail half and half with the silver and the pink. Not 100% sure what I'm actually going to be doing with this one yet, but we shall see what happens. So I'm going to get into it. I am going to talk you through as I'm doing this one instead of like I usually would, which is like you know, like me voiceovering. So I am going to talk through as I do it, so it probably is going to be a slightly longer video than usual, but that is because I want to get all the hints and tips in, and I want to be able to talk through things as I'm doing it instead of it seeming really random or a bit delayed or anything. So for this nail I've decided I'm going to use this here. So I'm going to use this, I think I'm lying actually, no I'm not, I'm going to use this one here, and then I'm going to be using one of these flowers here on top of that in a different colour. So I'm going to do the base with the lilac and then the dark purple with one of the flowers over the top. So first of all I'm going to make sure I've got some kitchen roll or tissue or just something to put underneath the plate, because stamping does make a mess and you should always do it with gloves on, but I'm not, just for the sake of the video, because my gloves are black and my camera doesn't seem to like black gloves, so we're going with it. So I always make sure to hand I have got my plate, my stamper, a scraper. Now scrapers come in all sorts of different shapes and sizes. I use the Moira ones, and I have a hell of a lot of different brands, like a stupid amount. I don't know why anyone needs this many scrapers, but I've got all sorts of different shapes and sizes. So we've got small ones from MoU, we've got medium ones, I don't even know what brand that is, but medium ones here like the Clear Jelly Stamper one, and then we've got large ones, more medium ones from Born Pretty. There's all sorts of different shapes and sizes, and it's completely personal preference. They all do the same job, so whichever one you feel like you want to use, go with it. So I'm going to be using some cotton pads as well and acetone, so make sure that they're right next to me as well, because stamping is all about doing things pretty quickly, especially with actual stamping polish, because it does dry pretty quick, so you want to make sure that you're getting on with things pretty fast. So this is just freshly painted. I've popped 2 coats of Leap of Faith on it, which means that it has a tacky layer at the moment on there that I need to remove before I start stamping. Some polishes you can get away with stamping onto a tacky layer, but the stamping polish from Clear Jelly Stamper doesn't always work well on a tacky layer, so it is best to just remove it to make life a bit easier. So while I'm here, I'm just going to remove it from the others as well. I'm just using a bit of Magpie Beauty's Prep and Dehydrate to remove the tacky layer here. and then I will go in and start stamping. So first things first, we're obviously going to apply some of our polish to the plate. Always make sure that your plate is clean before you use it. So as you've just saw, I've just gone over with the cotton pad. I always give it a couple of wipes over with my finger as well, just to make sure that there is no fluff on there. So I'm going to get my lilac colour. I'm just going to give it a quick shake to make sure that all the pigment is evenly distributed throughout the whole polish. And then you want to make sure that everything you're going to be using, let me just zoom out a bit for the first one and then I will zoom in for the next ones when I've explained. So you want to make sure that you've got everything you're going to need to hand straight away. I also have a lint roller here, and that is how I clean my stamper. Just roll it across and it will remove anything from the surface of the stamper. Try not to use any liquids or anything harsh on here because it is very sensitive and you've only got to dull it down a little bit and it makes stamping really difficult. Okay, so I'm going to go in with the lines and I'm just going to put a bit of polish on there. That was a lot, to be fair. Scrape off. You don't want to scrape too heavy and you don't want to scrape too lightly. If you scrape too lightly, you're going to leave too much polish on the plate and you'll pick up big clumps of it. And if you put too much pressure on, you'll end up just... Okay, so there's a little line there. You'll end up just taking off most of the polish even from within the stamp in the plate. So then you're going to end up obviously... taking off too much polish and it's not going to transfer. So if it's not transferring, it might be either of those things. So I've cleaned my stamper again with my lint roller, wiped that off. I'm just going to get everything ready again, make sure it's all close to me, and then I'm going to go in with this one. I'm going to scrape, I'm going to pick it up, make sure that I'm happy with how it's transferred, because if there's any bits missing then you can easily just get rid of this one and start afresh. Now getting it central is really difficult for me on camera because I can't actually see what I'm doing. I'm looking through my phone and hoping for the best. So if it doesn't go well, then just excuse that. I will zoom in on the next nail so you can see everything a bit closer. But that's that. And then with my darker purple, I'm going to go in with a flower to put over the top of this. So I think I'm going to go with this one. I think that's really pretty. So I'm just going to get rid of all the excess polish on here with a bit of acetone and a cotton pad. Make sure that you're cleaning your stamper, your scraper, because if you end up with too much polish along here, it won't scrape off effectively. And then I'm going in again with some polish, scrape off the excess, pick up the image, and then use your scraper to very, very gently make sure you're not digging in. Make sure you're not digging into the scraper. So if you're using the scraper to get off your excess, you don't want to be digging in like this onto it. You want to be rolling over it and making sure that it's like that instead of like that, else you'll end up putting some cuts into your stamper. So that is that nail. I'm quite happy with that, so I'm going to leave that be. So next nail, I'm going to zoom in for this one just so you can see a little bit more up close what I'm doing. I'm going to do a different type of design because obviously I want you to be able to see multiple different types. So I'm going to use this one. I'm just going to make sure that it lines up. Yeah, it's big enough. So obviously you want to make sure that your images are big enough to cover the actual nail that you're doing as well. So I'm going to use the dark purple for this one. So again, I'm going to do the exact same process, make sure everything's right next to me as I need it instead of doing everything last minute and then worrying that there's something not there and then the polish drying too quick. And then we're going to pick that up, make sure there is nothing on there that you don't want on the nail. If there is, remove it, and then we're going to get our nail back and we're going to pop this straight down the centre of that nail. And then that is what we've got. It's a little bit skew-iff, but it's all good. So for the next one, I am going to do a bit of reverse stamping just to show you what you can achieve with stamping. So for this nail, I'm going to be using... Okay, so I've decided I'm going to use the same one again as I did on the last one, so you can see the difference between normal stamping and reverse stamping. So my plan is I'm going to make sure that I've got... This time, I'm going to be using some green as well. So I'm going to be using this one again. I'm going to go in with my darker purple. I'm going to pick it up as normal. So we're going to scrape off. And then we're going to pick up with our stamper. And this time, we're not in such a rush. We're going to leave it there We still want to get rid of any excess that we don't want on the nail. But it is absolutely fine to not rush so much this time with the image itself. So while the image is on there, I'm going to move this so you can see. While the image is on our stamper, let's just zone in a little bit. So we're going to get our lilac this time. I'm going to put some, I've put a little bit actually on my bottle, which is really stupid and there's no need to make a mess, but that's just what I do. I put a little bit here. And then I'm going to get in a better place. So I'm going to use a little brush here. I've made sure it's clean. And then I'm basically just going to go in and colour this in. So the good thing about the see-through stampers is that you can turn them around and look through them to see whether you are doing a very good job of being in the lines and everything, or if you've missed anywhere that you couldn't have seen, you can just turn it around. If you've got any little blank bits, you know to be able to turn it back round and go in and fill those in. Okay, so the good thing about this stage is that you can really take your time, and I advise that you do, because if you rush through this you might end up just making a complete mess of it, because you'll end up with loads of colour where you don't want it, etc. So I'm just gonna keep going with the lilac on for this flower on these petals. It doesn't matter if you go over a line like you've just seen here. I've just put all that there, even though there is a dark purple line in the middle. It doesn't matter, because obviously you're going to be stamping it this way round, so those dark purple lines are on top, so it's not such an issue. Okay, and now I'm just going to do the other flower. It is a little bit time consuming, but it does look really effective when it's done, so it is worth it. Obviously layering plates tend to remove the need to have to do this, because you're going to be layering different images anyway, so that's where we're up to at the moment. I'm now going to get a tiny bit of green. So the green that I'm using is number 11 from Clear Jelly Stamper. I'm just going to do my usual, pop a little bit on there. Because these are glass bottles, it's easy enough to clean it off, so it's not an issue. And then I'm just going to go in and add some colour to those leaves. Just going to turn it around a little bit. Obviously the type of brush that you decide to use for this will depend on the image itself. If you've got lots of really tiny gaps that you need to get into, it would be useful to use a really small brush. This is not majorly small work, and obviously I'm not working on a client, so I'm not too fussed about getting it absolutely perfect. But just make sure you choose your brush wisely. Okay, so you can keep flipping it over to double check where you're at with your image. I'm quite happy with how it has turned out. I am going to fill in that other flower here. I wasn't going to originally because I didn't want there to be too much lilac on there, but I am going to, just so it looks finished instead of half done. So I'm just going to clean off my brush. Get some more polish. There we go. Okay, turn it over, double check that I'm happy with everything, and I am. So obviously I could do these little tiny ones here as well, but I'm not going to. I'm going to leave them just like that. So once you've done that, we're then going to stamp that on top of our nail. So line it up as usual where you will want it, and then make sure you put quite a lot of pressure on this time. and then I just roll it off. And there we go, there's our reverse stamped image. So just before, I didn't show it on camera because I totally forgot, but just before I did stamp this onto that nail, I did give my nail a wipe with some acetone, just because it makes the polish a little bit tacky, which makes the nail polish stick a little bit better. So as you can see, that's both of those images, one of them filled in and one of them not. So it can make all the difference. And then this one, obviously you could have filled that in and that would have made a difference as well. So it's all personal preference, obviously, what you fancy doing, but there is different options of whether you want to or not. This one I am just going to pop some purple down the middle, but I'll come back when it's all done. And then obviously when you're top coating and stamping, you want to just float your top coat over the top to not drag the image. So yeah, I hope this video was useful. I will put a little clip and some photos at the end of how they turn out when I finish them completely. But I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you so much for watching. If you haven't already, then please do subscribe. It makes all the difference to me and means the world to me. So thank you very much for watching, and I'll be back soon. Bye.